Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. And welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves. So this is the weekly astro forecast for the week of July 17th through July 23rd, 2023. So we've got a lot going on this week. There is so much going on in the sky right now. We've got people hitting up the chat. Hello, hello, hello. And yes, happy Cancer new moon. We've got that new moon in Cancer today, which is interesting to say the least. But yes, like I was saying, we have a full week of astrological activity. All right. Like it is just, it's a lot, and you're probably going to feel it if you're not feeling it already. I know me personally, I feel like this new moon, it's quite emotionally draining. I feel like it's kind of intense. There's a lot of interesting energy going on. I know like I was really sleepy today, very tired, lethargic. I felt like I was kind of dragging myself, but more so than anything, it just felt emotionally draining. So let me know, how have you been feeling this Cancer new moon? And I'm intentional by using the word feeling because everything about this new moon is about feeling, right? So how is this new moon in Cancer having you feel? All right, hit up the chat, let me know, or put a comment down below. Let me know how this new moon has you in your feelings, or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But in any event, yes, I have so much to discuss with you. It's a packed week, but an impactful week nonetheless. All right, but before we get into all of that, let's take care of housekeeping and announcements. So if you are joining me here on the live this evening, thank you so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate you. Please feel free to say hello on your way in. And also don't forget to hit that like button on your way in as well. All right. And feel free to converse with each other. I already see some people in the chat conversing with each other, which I love. The whole point of this is to not only learn, but to sort of build community, get to know other people, and at the same time get to know ourselves, right? So feel free to hit up the chat if you are here with me live. If you are watching this on the replay, thank you as well. You are greatly appreciated. Hopefully you get a lot of value out of this broadcast because I try to make these as informative as possible, all right? And if you find that this is pretty valuable to you, also feel free to hit that like button as well, all right? In terms of announcements, so last month I started a new series where I bring different people on to sort of interview them on different topics. So last week I had my boy Rob Blackstorm here with me, and we were discussing twin flames and divine unions. And let me tell you, that conversation was super interesting. So if you haven't checked out that video already, I'm going to put the link in the description box below. But it was a great discussion on twin flames and divine unions. So this week I have another guest with me. I'm not going to tell you who it is just yet, but we are going to be discussing tarot, what it is, what it isn't, how to use it, like everything you could possibly need to know about tarot and divination, and how tarot plays an important role in our spiritual journeys, whether you are reading for yourself or whether you're getting readings from other people. This is just going to be the soup to nuts when it comes to tarot. So I'm going to be doing that live this Wednesday at 8 or 9 p.m. Haven't decided yet. I have to check with my guests, but it'll be in the evening. Definitely hit that subscribe button, notification bell, so you'll be notified when I'm going live, because it is definitely going to be a very, very interesting conversation. All right. So that's pretty much it. In the meantime, let the good people over on Twitter know that we are live so that they can join us. Okay. So let's see what else. Oh yeah, as always, if you are someone who is interested in your horoscope, but you're not necessarily really feeling the stuff that you can get online, feel free to join my text service where you will get your horoscope texted to you every Monday. I try to do it every Monday morning. Today, I'm not even gonna lie to you, it wasn't even happening today because this new moon has me feeling all sorts of things, but I will be sending it out either tomorrow morning, either later tonight or tomorrow morning. However, every week you will get your personalized horoscope depending on the sign that you want your horoscope for. You will also get random info. You can learn astrology based on the specific sign that you choose. You get promotional information. It's really actually a really good deal. All right. And it's completely free. All you got to do is sign up for my text service. And to do that, all you have to do is text the word Zodiac to the number 855-826-5544. You can put in whichever sign you want to get information for, and you'll be good to go from there. All right. And if you're interested in that and you didn't quite catch that on the screen, that information will be in the description box below. All right. And as always, if you are someone who is new to astrology and you have absolutely no idea what's going on, astrology has a lot of astrology jargon, a lot of terms that are specific to astrology. So if you don't study astrology, you probably have no idea what I'm saying half the time, right? Or maybe you're not even new to astrology, but you're realizing that it's a lot and you want to get a little more familiarized with everything. I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which basically gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start studying astrology, namely the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. Okay. It's an 11-page PDF document that gives you a quick summary on all of these things so you can start committing them to memory. All right. Because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say, astrology is indeed a science. And just like any other science, it requires a good deal of study. So to help you on your astrological journey and to help you start studying, I created this cheat sheet. So if you are interested, the link to that will be in the description box below. All you need to do is drop your email address and you'll be good to go. And also, if you are someone who is a visual learner, I did a series on these 4 pillars of astrology, and it is called How to Read Your Natal Chart. So it breaks down each of these pillars, again, the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. And the 5th video puts it all together and teaches you how to read your natal chart. Like, this series is chock full of information and it's really invaluable. And so if you're interested in that, the link to that playlist will be in the description box below as well. All right. All right. So let's get into it and let's discuss what's going on this week. So we've got a new moon. We've got the North Node changing signs. We've got the sun changing signs, and we've got a planet going retrograde. Okay. So lots of shifting energy, and you are definitely going to feel the shift this week because with the North Node moving into Aries, which will be moving into Aries late tonight into tomorrow, depending on where you are. But it's like a whole new area of your life is sort of going to be focused. Like, there's going to be a focus and an emphasis on a new area of life for the next 18 months. Okay. So we have just wrapped up a whole chapter. Let me not even say a chapter. I feel like it's a book, right? Because the North Node has been in Taurus since the end of 2021. Which also means that the South Node has been in Scorpio. So wherever Taurus and Scorpio are in your chart, there's been a particular story or issue that has been playing out. And every eclipse that has been going on between Taurus and Scorpio has been adding to that story or changing that story in a way, right? And so now we're at the tail end of that story. We're at the very end. It's like we're at the last page of the book and we're getting ready to close this book and start a whole new one. So with this new moon in Cancer, right, it's all about setting new intentions, planting new seeds. But because it's in a water sign, it's also a very good sort of time to just reflect. Again, you're going to want to look at where Taurus and Scorpio are in your chart and see what has transpired. Let's say that you've had Taurus as your 2nd house, Scorpio as your 8th house, right? So the issue of money and resources, this is the story that's been playing out for you since the end of 2021. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe you started your own business. Maybe you paid off some debt. Maybe you needed to take out a loan. The way that this could have played out for you, it varies, right? There's 1,000,001 different ways that it could have played out. However, this story was developing and it was sort of getting you to where you want to be, right? So let's say your whole goal was to be, have better finances. Whatever transpired between the end of 2021 and now, it sort of helped you further that goal, whether you wanted to or not. Because when we're talking about the nodes, and especially when we're talking about eclipses, It's sort of the universe's way of shifting things around in our lives. So if you were someone who had money management issues, or maybe you weren't saving enough, or maybe you wanted to learn how to invest, whatever it is, the universe was conspiring for you and helping you achieve that goal via the eclipses and the nodes. Okay. And so again, this is a chapter that we're closing, and we're getting ready to open a new and fiery chapter with the North Node moving into Aries. Okay. And so that's definitely something that we are going to feel, and something that we are going to, I want to say it's an energy that we're definitely going to embody over the next 18 months, because Aries energy is very much concerned with the self. It's concerned with our physical selves. It's concerned with physical energy. And it has a lot to do with our desires. So this is going to be 18 months of really pursuing what it is that you truly desire. All right. But I'll get more into that a little bit later. And this is the final week of Cancer season, because by the end of the week, the sun is going to be moving into Leo. And I have to say that I am happy for that. Cancer season tends to be kind of heavy. It can be heavy emotionally. There could be emotional issues that tend to come up during Cancer season. It's also very heavy on family. And I know for me personally, it's been a month heavy with family. I've seen family I haven't seen in a while. A lot of people coming through over Cancer season. So it's been pretty interesting. But the energy tends to be kind of heavy, right? And I'm definitely ready for some lighthearted energy, because when we get into Leo season, things sort of lighten up a bit. We're really more focused on having fun, following our hearts. There's an emphasis on romance. Very much so also, because Venus is about to go retrograde in Leo as well. So we've been talking about Venus in Leo since the beginning of June. And so this has a lot to do with romance, romantic partnerships. It may have a lot to do with creativity and expressing yourself. But with Venus going retrograde, this is when we have romantic issues or romantic partners coming back around. It could also be different money matters also coming back around. But I really feel like this Venus retrograde season is going to be kind of spicy, kind of interesting, especially since Venus is in a fire sign. So we have much to look forward to, not just this week, but in the coming weeks. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the highlights and see what we've got going on this week. All right. So first up, we have what I like to call Feel It Real. And this is the new moon in Cancer. All right. So it's new beginnings, right? Because we're talking about a new moon. But being that this is going down in the sign of Cancer, this is emotional new beginnings, right? This is feeling however you want to feel, right? But more importantly, if we're talking about setting new intentions, the intentions that you set, you want to feel as if it is real already. All right. That's kind of your cheat code to sort of getting your manifestations to come to fruition. All right. Now, the way that the astrology is configured with this particular new moon, there's going to be opportunities for profound transformation. Okay. It's also going to jostle us a little bit out of our comfort zone. So much like me, you may feel like this new moon is kind of emotionally draining. You may be dealing with certain issues that, maybe you're finally experiencing a breakthrough, or maybe you're realizing what needs to be done in order to experience a breakthrough. But either way, I feel like this new moon can be very transformative, very hopeful, especially since it's a new moon and we're setting new intentions. And it's going to sort of take us out of our comfort zone and help us to expand. All right. The next step, we have what I like to call War versus Peace. And this is the North Node moving into Aries. All right. So with the North Node in Aries, the South Node will be in Libra. And so that Aries Libra axis has a lot to do with relationships, right? Aries is me, Libra is we. But Aries and Libra is also about war and peace, because Aries is the fighter. Aries is combative. So Aries can be very headstrong, very defensive, whereas Libra is the mediator. Libra wants peace. Libra wants harmony, all of that stuff. So this is a theme that may be playing out for you over this next 18 months. But nonetheless, war versus peace is definitely going to be something that's going to be prominent with this particular nodal shift. All right. The next step, we have what I like to call lights, camera, action. And this is the sun moving into Leo. Leo is all about the dramatics, right? Leo is the star of the show. Everyone else is the supporting cast, right? And so We are about to set into a new season of sun, fun, and drama. All right. But I'm here for it. Hopefully you are too. Then finally, we have what I like to call love always wins. And this is Venus retrograde, right? So like I mentioned before, Venus retrograde can have a lot to do with romantic partners coming back around, but not even just coming back around for the sake of it, right? Like the whole point of retrograde is reflection. And so during Venus retrograde, it's really a time to assess your romantic partnerships, whether you're in one or not, perhaps issues related to romance, dating, relationships, in order to improve upon your situation or your circumstances, or in order to sort of improve upon yourself. The thing with this Venus retrograde being that it is going retrograde in a sign like Leo, it's really asking you to have the courage to follow your heart. And with the North Node in Aries, a lot of us are going to be acting on our desires. Now, you don't want to act on desires that are frivolous or that you don't really care about, right? You want to act on desires that you're truly passionate about. And I feel like this Venus retrograde season, coupled with the North Node in Aries, is going to have a lot of people shooting their shot, people really putting their hearts on their sleeves, maybe being a little vulnerable and really doing whatever it takes to have perhaps the relationships that they want or the partnerships that they want. All right. So again, interesting time. So let's take a look at the week and see exactly what we've got going on. So today we have that new moon in Cancer, and we also have Mercury square Jupiter. And then tomorrow we've got the North Node entering Aries and the moon moving into Leo. Then on Thursday, we've got the sun trine Neptune, Mars opposite Saturn, and the moon moving into Virgo. And then on Friday, we've got the sun opposite Pluto. Then Saturday, we've got a whole ton of stuff going on. We've got the sun entering Leo, Venus going retrograde, sun square the North Node, and Mercury trine Chiron. And we close out the week on Sunday with Mercury square Uranus and the moon moving into Libra. All right. So this is definitely going to be a week, like I said, full of activity. Some of it is going to be very profound and very, like, you'll feel the energy shift. There are a couple of transits here that are a little challenging. I'll get into those in a second, but challenges create character. So this is going to be a week where we're not only feeling energy shifts, but we have the ability to change in a profound kind of way, right? It's, what do they say? It's rough seas that make sailors, right? So this may be one of those weeks where, you know, things may not feel the best, but it's ultimately getting you to build character and sort of get you to where you need to go. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the week day by day and see what we've got going on. All right, so today we've got that new moon in Cancer, and you will see that at the upper part of the chart. Both the sun and the moon are at 24 degrees Cancer, right? And then we also have Mercury square Jupiter. So Mercury is at 12 degrees Leo, which is also at the top part of the chart, and Jupiter is at 11 degrees Taurus. All right, so let's get into it. So first up, new moon in Cancer. Okay, so that went down at 2:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. And like I said, it was at 24 degrees Cancer. So Cancer has a lot to do with our basic emotional needs, being protective, being defensive, the idea of nurturing. By and large, Cancer has a lot to do with family, particularly mothers and motherhood. Okay. So whenever we're talking about the moon, right now, first of all, the moon is in its home sign because Cancer is the home sign of the moon. So the moon is extremely comfortable, which means that typically it's a very emotional time. And there's something about Cancer energy that just hits a little different than some of the other water signs. I feel like whenever we have like a moon cycle in Scorpio, it can be very mysterious, very deep, great for shadow work, great. Whenever we have a moon cycle in Pisces, it's very otherworldly, it's very fantastical, right? That's great too. But Cancer energy, it has the ability to sting a little bit because it has a lot to do with our basic emotional needs. And what's interesting is that as you go on your spiritual journey, as you ascend, right? In retrospect, you may look back and realize that many of your basic emotional needs may not have been met. Cancer also has a lot to do with sort of your early childhood. And we talk about early childhood, that's where a lot of people's trauma begins. That's where a lot of emotional wounding comes from. So whenever the moon is in Cancer, it tends to be emotional in a way that sort of really stings, right? It's very, it can cut really deep, especially if you're dealing with issues related to feeling protected, feeling safe, feeling loved, right? Now, the good thing is this is a new moon in Cancer. So it's almost like whatever you're feeling, whatever has come up, you can sort of channel that into what it is that you want to have. So for instance, if you feel like you don't have enough love in your life or even like enough affection, you can use that as fuel to manifest that in your life at this time. That's why I called this particular astrological event Feel It Real. It's almost like whatever you want, you sort of have to feel like you already have it. And that's sort of the cheat code to this new moon in Cancer. Okay. So the numerology for this new moon is the number 6. Okay. Because 24 reduces to a 6. And this has a lot to do with the heart. The number 6 is very much associated with peace, with harmony, with relationships. It has a lot to do with partnerships and sort of tapping into your heart space. And I feel like that can also be one of the reasons why this particular new moon may be kind of emotional, because it sort of has this energy of love. Maybe it's maternal love. Maybe it's familial love, right? And feeling that, or maybe even the lack thereof, okay? And interestingly enough, the tarot card associated with the number 6 is the Lovers. Okay, so has a lot to do with love, has a lot to do with heart, all of that stuff. But by and large, anytime you have a moon cycle in Cancer, it's really about listening to your emotions and what they're trying to tell you. The emotions aren't. So it's almost like the emotions are symptoms, right? They're not the actual problem. They're just the symptom of the problem. So you may find that this new moon, it's not just about, manifesting things, right? It may really be working through some of these emotions that are coming up and thereby addressing the issues behind these emotions, okay? And once you do that, it kind of gives you not only a sense of satisfaction, but perhaps even a sense of direction and purpose, right? And again, using that as fuel to manifest what it is that you actually want to have, be, or do, right? Now, another reason for the intensity of this new moon is the fact that it is opposite to Pluto. Okay. So Pluto is all about not just intensity, but transformation. It's all about beginnings and endings. So we have this concentration of energy in Cancer, right? We have the sun and the moon. And then we have Pluto in Capricorn. So that Cancer Capricorn axis has a lot to do with like your private life on the one hand, as represented by Cancer, and your public life on the other hand is represented by Capricorn. So there may be changes to your public life. And when I say public life, I don't mean like you're a celebrity or something like that. I mean like your career, your job, the life that you live outside of your home. That's essentially what that Capricorn energy is like. It has a lot to do with success. It has a lot to do with achievement, and those things are done outwardly, right? Whereas Cancer is all about home. It's all about family. It's all about the family dynamic and your familial relationships. So it's more private. It's more intimate. It's more emotional, right? And so there's this dichotomy with that during this new moon. So you may be experiencing changes in terms of your job, your business. You're going to want to look at where Cancer and Capricorn are in your chart, and that'll give you a better idea of how this is going to play out. However, it's like there's this change or this transformation that you're experiencing publicly or as it relates to your career or something like that. And how is that being balanced against your home life, right? Let's say that you get a new job. but now it requires more hours, or it requires you to travel more. How is that going to affect your home life, your family life, or maybe even the obligations that you have to your family? Okay. So it's kind of this dichotomy, right? It's also, for some, it may be kind of the opposite, right? Maybe you want to develop your family. Maybe you want to start a family. Maybe you want to focus on your family. And how is that going to affect your career? How is that going to affect your job or your business, right? Especially with the new moon being in Cancer, maybe you want to manifest some Cancer-like things like motherhood, like family, right? Cancer has a lot to do with the home, so it can also have to do with your physical home. Maybe you're trying to purchase a home for the first time, or maybe purchase a new home, right? So that's sort of how this is going to play out. But the fact that Pluto was in the mix means that there may be some sort of an ending, or there may be a new beginning of some sort. Something may be starting up, something may be reborn, right? An issue that was an issue in the past is now coming back up. So it's going to, this transit, especially with Pluto in the mix, it lends itself to intensity. It lends itself to change, particularly profound change, right? It's not just like, okay, you're changing jobs, like it's a lateral move or something like that. Like when we talk about Pluto, we talk about like a complete ending, right? Pluto also rules death. So it could be a situation where something is completely ending or transforming in a very permanent sort of way. So I feel like this is also why this particular moon feels so intense. However, the good part is that you have this intense transformative energy at your disposal. So this is the best time to use this energy to transform your life. Again, you're going to want to feel it real with this new moon and with the things that you want to manifest. That is how you're going to get the wheels turning with respect to this profound change. Okay. The new moon is also going to be trine to Neptune. So Neptune is in its home sign of Pisces. And so again, if you don't get anything else from what I'm saying about this new moon, just hear these 3 words: feel it real. Your inner world creates your outer world. Once you get that feeling on the inside, it cannot help but manifest on the outside, okay? And the good thing is that Neptune is currently retrograde. So rather than seeing this pie in the sky kind of thing, right? Because sometimes when we think about what we want to manifest, we see it in a very sort of big picture sort of way. Perhaps with rose-colored glasses, we're not really paying attention to the reality of what it is that we want. The fact that Neptune is retrograde means that we're looking at whatever we want to have or whatever we want to manifest in a more realistic sort of way. Let's say that you want $1 million, right? Before you're just like, I just want to manifest $1 million, just $1 million, whatever. I feel like with Neptune retrograde, you're kind of like, okay, I want to manifest $1 million to do X, Y, and Z. I'm, budgeting for it, figuring out like maybe learning things in terms of investing or money management or something like that. Like taking a more realistic approach to whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. So we have that at our disposal as well. And then finally, we have the new moon sextile to Uranus. And so this allows you to get out of your comfort zone. It also allows you to listen to your intuition, which is super important because the new moon is in Cancer. Cancer is all about using your intuition. This isn't about trying to take a logical approach to things. This isn't the new moon where you set pen to paper and make a plan, or you do, any sort of logical thinking when it comes to this. This is about using your intuition. And if you're feeling it real, your intuition is going to order your steps. Your intuition is going to show you what actions need to be taken in order to manifest the things that you want to manifest. So try not to take too much of a logical approach. Really, like I said, feel it real, allow your intuition to lead. And this is how you're going to take the steps to manifest the things that you want, right? But remember, this new moon is in Cancer. So this is all about nurturing the things that we want. It's like growing a plant. You don't just pop in the seed and forget about it, right? Like you have to nurture it. It's the same thing like with babies, right? They spend 9 months in the womb being nurtured, getting nutrients, developing, all of that stuff, right? So this is how you're going to approach your manifestations, the things that you want. You nurture them. And we begin to do that tonight at this new moon in Cancer, right? The next up for today, we have Mercury square Jupiter. So this is really about giving you, so this particular transit, it gives you optimism and it allows you to see the bigger picture of things. So Mercury just went into Leo, right? And Jupiter is currently in Taurus. So this is really about having the courage to follow your heart and allowing yourself to expand, okay? Perhaps there's something that you want to. So with Mercury in Leo, there's this focus on creative thinking. There's also this focus on self-expression. And I feel like this square to Jupiter, it really allows you to express yourself. It really allows you to venture past your comfort zone and perhaps learn things and communicate with people that are really more in alignment with who you truly are. So I feel like much can be accomplished with this particular transit in terms of expressing yourself. Like, let's say, for instance, you are someone who, I don't know, you like to sing. Like there's just something about singing that brings you joy or whatever, right? I feel like with this particular transit, this is going to allow you to feel more confident about singing. It may allow you to sort of get out of your comfort zone. Maybe you want to start taking lessons. Maybe you just want to start singing for people, or let's say start a YouTube channel and start doing cover songs or whatever. You get my drift? Like, I feel like this is one of those transits that really allows you to step out of your comfort zone and express yourself. However, because this is a square, I feel like many people may feel kind of frustrated or may feel very hesitant in expressing themselves. It's almost like the universe is kind of pushing you out of your comfort zone, but you're a little hesitant. You're like, I don't know. Like, I like to sing, but I don't know if I sing well enough. Or maybe I shouldn't do this because my singing voice isn't that great or whatever. But I feel like the good thing about this transit is you're going to feel kind of optimistic about it. So if there's something in your heart that you truly want to do, or that you truly want to express, right? A side of yourself that you want to express, you're not only going to feel good about it, but I feel like you're going to be more willing to step out of your comfort zone and actually express yourself, or at least take some steps toward expressing yourself or expressing this idea or something like that. So if you find that there's something in your heart, or there's something that's really speaking to you right now, like you feel this optimism, or you feel this sort of intuitive nudge to do something perhaps that you normally wouldn't do, but something that you're passionate about, I would definitely follow that, because you never know what could happen. And plus, with Jupiter in Taurus, it's almost like this is sort of the key to your abundance. I feel like this particular transit will have you taking steps, or even if it's not overt steps, I feel like it might just be changing your mindset toward something that not only that you like or love, but something that also could be lucrative for you. So again, if there's something on your heart, something that you feel passionate about, this definitely may be the time to pursue it. All right. All right. So that's today. Let's move on to Tuesday and see what we got. All right, so tomorrow we've got the North Node and South Node shifting signs. You'll see that at the left-hand side of the chart and the right-hand side of the chart. You'll see that horseshoe-looking thing at 29 degrees Aries, and the upside-down horseshoe at 29 degrees Libra. And then we've got the moon moving into Leo. All right, so first, by way of learning astrology, the nodes move backward. So the North Node and the South Node are always like moving in retrograde. So basically, the nodes start off at the 29th degree of a sign and work their way backward to 0 degrees, and they move into a new sign. Okay, so that's why, sorry, my nose is itching. That is why they are both at 29 degrees currently. Okay. Now, this is the quintessential sort of transit of the year, right? Because it marks an 18-month cycle. So, like I said, we just wrapped up that story of Taurus and Scorpio. So now we're starting a new story with Aries and Libra. So you're going to want to take a look at where Aries and Libra are in your chart. This is where the North and the South node will be. And this is where the eclipses are going to happen over the next 18 months. Basically, the whole thing about the North node and the South node is that they denote where the eclipses happen. And eclipses are the universe's way of shifting things in our lives. It's like the universe sort of playing musical chairs, essentially, in our lives. For good reason, right? The North node is all about sort of expanding. It's about sort of what we're growing into, what we're becoming, who we are becoming, where we are headed in this particular lifetime. And the South node denotes our comfort zone. It denotes what we're comfortable with, what we're used to. You know, if we're ever triggered, the South node typically represents what we default to. And it's not necessarily the case that you need to move away from your South node, because you will hear other people say, well, the South node is what you should move away from. Not necessarily. It's kind of like, okay, think of it this way. The South node can represent things or characteristics representing what you're really good at, right? So let's say you've got South node in Libra, North node in Aries. When it comes to being charismatic, when it comes to being judicial, when it comes to being fair, like that comes naturally to you. It's not a stretch because that's your default, right? But when it comes to being, headstrong, when it comes to being a little assertive or aggressive, that is sort of characteristics that are unfamiliar to you. The North node represents what you have to grow into. It represents what you're going to expand into. Okay. So it's not, like I said, it's not necessarily the case that you need to leave your South node. It's just your default. Right. And so again, wherever Aries and Libra are in your chart, this is where the eclipses are going to go down. So this is where we're going to experience change in our lives, where we may be tested in a sense. And when I say tested, it's like, different situations are going to pop up and you kind of have the choice. Am I going to go to my default, aka my South node, or am I going to expand and venture into uncharted territory, which represents your North node? Okay. So the Aries Libra axis, like I said before, it has a lot to do with war and peace, but that's not just all that it has to do with. If I had to sum up the Aries Libra axis in one word, it would be relationships. Aries is sort of your relationship with yourself, because Aries has a lot to do with the self. It's very headstrong, has a lot to do with the physical body. It's all about me. Whereas Libra has a lot to do with our relationship with others. It's the we part of that sort of equation, right? So there's going to be this sort of, it's going to be like a seesaw kind of, where the eclipses either have us focusing on ourselves, right, via Aries, or focusing on others via Libra. And so there's going to be, depending on where this is going down in your chart, this may be the undertone, right? So let's say you've got 4th house Aries and 10th house Libra. So essentially, right, with the South node in Libra being your 10th house, when it comes to career, when it comes to your reputation, when it comes to your public life, you probably are someone who wants to be very agreeable, right? You kind of want to be liked by everybody. You want people to feel comfortable around you. You're very people oriented, right? You may even be a little bit of a people pleaser, especially when it comes to work. Whereas that 4th node in Aries kind of has you focusing on yourself and your private life, particularly things that you are passionate about, maybe issues related to home and family, that's sort of how the eclipses are going to play. Those are sort of the areas of life where the eclipses are going to play out for you over the next 18 months, right? And finding a balance between the two is what the eclipses are going to have you do, right? But by and large, because the North Node is in Aries, it's really going to be a time to focus less on career and perhaps more on yourself and your family. Okay, that's just an example, but that's pretty much how this is going to sort of play out. Now, with the North Node in Aries, Aries is very laser-like focus on a particular desire, right? Aries wants something and goes after it. So you may find that this North Node in Aries, and again, it depends on where it's going down in your chart, has you focused on one particular thing. Maybe it's a couple of things, but by and large, it's probably just one thing that you really want to have that laser-like focus on. So it kind of gives you a sense of direction, a sense of purpose, a motivation almost, right? And one of the things that I found very interesting and how astrology never lies, right? Literally over the last 2 weeks, I've talked to 2 friends who have just started like a workout routine or have changed their diet. This is important because Aries has a lot to do with the physical body. And because Aries also rules physical activity may be something or maybe an energy, right, that plays out in your life over the next 18 months. So I would say if there were any time to start, a new workout routine, a new weight training schedule, if you're looking to bulk up, if you're looking to lose weight, North Node in Aries is the perfect time. And you've got 18 months to really get it on and popping, right? So you may find that a lot of people are looking to change up their bodies, change up their look, start working out more, getting more physically fit. Okay, that's the essence of that's sort of how Aries energy can play out. This is also about finding your personal power and really going after your desires. So, oh, my nose is itching like crazy, and I haven't even started doing the readings yet. Wow, I feel like someone's tickling my nose. But in any event, so South Node in Libra, very people pleasing. It could also be like not going after what you want because others may find it disagreeable or others don't agree with it or other people's opinions are sort of clouding your own desires. North Node in Aries like completely obliterates that. Like you're going to see a lot of people being very selfish and not even in a bad way. Like it's just very much focusing on yourself and your desires and what you want rather than taking the input of other people and sort of weighing your options. Like let's say that you want to move to a different state. And maybe currently where you are, you live with your family or your family lives close by and your family is trying to dissuade you from moving, right? They're like, why would you want to go over there? You're going to be by yourself, this, that, and the third. South Node in Libra would really have you be like, oh, should I really move? I don't know, right? Maybe they're right. Maybe I don't want to be by myself. Maybe maybe it's better if I stay with family. Whereas North Node in Aries is like, no, if I really want to move, I will move. If there are better opportunities elsewhere, I'm going to follow those opportunities rather than staying here to make everyone else feel comfortable, right? So Aries energy is really about focusing on yourself. It is focusing on what you want, what's in your heart, what you desire, and, taking the action steps toward it. Okay. It's also being bold, dynamic, and risky. So this is the time where you're not necessarily going to feel like plotting things out or planning things. I feel like you're really just going to be like, oh, I want this. I'm doing it. That's it. There might not be a lot of forethought. People might just be acting off impulse. And there's a place for that, right? Like that Aries energy, it's a cardinal sign for a reason because it starts things. You need that riskiness. You need that bold, dynamic energy to start things. So because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, Aries North Node, it's all about starting new things. So take a look at where Aries is in your chart. This is where you can potentially start new things, okay? Whether it's a new relationship, like if Aries is your 7th house, whether it's a new job, like if Aries is your 6th house, It could be a new money making situation, like if Aries is your second house. Okay. So it's just a time to really focus on what you want. And it's almost like the universe is sort of urging you to do this. Because a lot of times, especially as we get older, you know, it all depends, let me say, because some people are very good at thinking about themselves all the time. But for others, sometimes we may really take other people's opinions to heart, or we may really be thinking about other people with every single thing that we do. And this new nodal shift with the North Node in Aries, it's really like, no, what do you want? It doesn't matter what anyone else has to say. What do you want? What are you passionate about? What fires you up? What do you want to try? What do you want to experience? And just doing it. Okay. So we are in store for a very interesting 18 months. All right. And then tomorrow we have the moon moving into Leo. So this is, a great time to socialize. It's following your heart. It's really engaging in creative activities. It's also just doing anything that you really like to do. That's what I love about Aries energy and Leo energy. Not so much Sagittarius. Sagittarius being the third fire sign. It's not even so much about the things that you want to do. Sagittarius energy it's very it's high level. It's high level fire energy. However, Aries and Leo, it's really just about like what you're passionate about, what you like to do. So whenever the moon is in Leo, you tend to sort of just want to do things that make you feel good. Leo has a lot to do with our inner child. And so whenever the moon is in Leo, I always urge people to play. Like, listen to your inner child, play, do something fun. Leo is one of those signs that, Cancer, the sign that comes before it, can be very intense, can be very emotional, could be emotionally draining. And then Virgo, the sign after Leo, it's very dry. It could be very boring, very adult-like, right? Leo, right in the middle, it gives you a reprieve. It gives you a time for having fun. It gives you the time to follow your heart and listen to your inner child. And so because the moon is waxing, right? Because today is the new moon. And so tomorrow, the moon is going to be making its journey toward the full moon, which will happen in 2 weeks. Whenever the moon is waxing, especially in the sign of Leo, it's like, it reminds us that we don't have to take life too seriously. On the road to manifesting whatever it is we want, there is time to just play. There's time to have fun. There's time to not be so serious and so goal-oriented and driven and all of those things. There's plenty of time for that. Leo is all about having fun. So whenever the moon is in Leo, have some fun, relax. Go out, create, play, engage in sports or entertainment. Anything that's fun is really par for the course when the moon is in Leo. All right. So that's Tuesday. So let's move on to Thursday and see what we've got. All right, so on Thursday, we've got the sun trine Neptune. You'll see the sun at the upper portion of the chart at 27 degrees Cancer. And Neptune is at 27 degrees Pisces. All right, then we also have a Mars opposite Saturn. Mars is towards the left-hand portion of the chart. It is at 6 degrees Virgo. And Saturn is at 6 degrees Pisces. And then we have the moon moving into Virgo. All right, so let's discuss. So sun trine Neptune. Sun is in Cancer, Neptune is in Pisces, 2 water signs. You may find, and you're probably experiencing this already since we have the new moon in Cancer tonight, your dreams may be exceptionally vivid. Your telepathic powers, your psychic abilities, your psychic impressions may already be very heightened and intense because we've got all of this intense water energy this week, okay? It also means that you're probably going to be pretty sensitive. So that being said, you'll want to monitor sort of where you go, what kind of energy you allow yourself to be exposed to. Because it's not just being sensitive in the sense that something will make you cry or you may just feel very down or whatever. It's like your ability to absorb energy is also going to be heightened. So if you're going any place where there are a lot of people, if you're going places where the energy might be a little off, you may definitely want to cleanse yourself, especially afterward. You may want to do, any spiritual protection, whether it's rituals, whether it's things that you carry on your person, because the energy is not only heightened, but your ability to absorb that energy is going to be heightened as well. So keep that in mind. Sun trine Neptune is nice because it allows us to be cognizant and conscious of our dreams, our wishes. It adds a level of consciousness to our spirituality and sort of the spiritual side of life. Okay. So this may be sort of understanding where you are spiritually. This may be taking intentional steps towards your spiritual practices or your spiritual ideologies. This is being cognizant of your spiritual ideals. Okay. It's also about realizing your dreams and your ambitions in a sense. Okay. Your dreams and your goals. It's almost like the sun energizes things, right? It heats things up in a way. So you may find that this particular transit has you feeling a lot more determined, a lot more purposeful, a lot more intentional with respect to your spirituality, with respect to your life purpose, all of those things, your soul mission even. You may feel a sense of determination, of motivation, of purpose, like just feeling re-energized essentially with respect to where you're going and what it is that you're here to do. Neptune energy also lends itself to things like compassion, empathy, charity, philanthropy. So the beauty of this particular transit is that it allows us to help others, to be compassionate to others, to ultimately understand others a bit better on a more universal spiritual level, right? So it's kind of one of those feel good kind of transits. Great for ourselves in terms of our spirituality, our spiritual walk, our goals, our dreams, and good for others, right? Because, helping your fellow man, lending someone a hand, and sort of being helpful and compassionate to others. It's also a really, really great transit for creativity. So any sort of creative activity definitely thrives under this transit. So whether it's painting, whether it's music, whether it's dance, any form of self-expression is also going to be very powerful under this transit. It's almost like it's going to be effortless, right? I always feel like music it not only inspires me, but it also mystifies me sometimes because I was a musician as a child, but being able to improvise, being able to songwrite, I always felt like that was something that comes straight from God, right? Because it's just, I'm always amazed at it. And so Sun trine Neptune, it's one of those transits where people may feel very inspired to create. People may create beautiful music, beautiful artwork that's truly just inspired by God, right? So it's a really dope transit for creative activities. It's also a great transit to create deeper bonds in relationships. And especially because we're talking about the sun brings your consciousness into it. Again, it's this element of being sort of intentional about creating better bonds. So whether you just started dating someone, whether you have a friendship, whether, you've been in a relationship for a while, this transit allows you to foster deeper bonds. So if that's something that you're looking to do, you can definitely do that. But because it's a trine and trine is effortless energy, I feel like that's kind of just when it naturally happens. So I feel like this may be a time where you have better conversations, where you're a little more vulnerable, right? And with Venus retrograde sort of about to come into the mix, like this is perfect if you have relationships that are coming back around. The fact that this transit is going to be sort of still in effect when Venus ultimately goes retrograde, it allows you to rekindle relationships on a deeper level. It's more than just an ex coming back and sort of rehashing the same issues. Like, I feel like this time around, you definitely have the opportunity to be more vulnerable, to be more open emotionally, to understand each other better. And again, to ultimately build better bonds, right? It's all about love, affection, tenderness. So maybe if you had a relationship where those things were lacking, or if you have a relationship where you just want to experience these things, I feel like this particular transit will definitely help with that. So it's going to be super duper helpful in that regard. Okay. Then next up, we've got Mars opposite Saturn. Okay, this is also going down on Thursday. So this is one of those transits that's going to be a little difficult. Okay, so it can bring frustration, disappointment, anger. The perfect way to describe this transit. So Mars is the ruler of Aries, right? And like I was saying before with the North Node in Aries, Aries is very headstrong. Aries is all about, this is what I want. I'm going after it. I don't care what you have to say, blah, 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 right? That's what we got on one hand with Mars. Saturn, think of Saturn as like a strict father who doesn't let you do everything that you want to do, who kind of stops you in your tracks whenever you're trying to be too impulsive or too risky. So essentially the way that this transit turns out is like, you may want to do something, but you find that there's an obstacle in the way. There may be someone literally, blocking you from doing something. There may be a situation that prevents you from having your way. It's almost like one of these push and pull things. Like, you push forward, but someone's trying to push you back, kind of a thing. Okay. So, of course, that can bring a lot of frustration. It could also bring a lot of anger and maybe even fights. Now, the one thing I want to point out with Saturn is that Saturn is very emblematic of father-like energy, father and like older male type energy. So don't be surprised if the obstacle that is in your way is a father figure, a male authority figure. It could even be a situation involving a father or a male authority figure, okay? Saturn also represents like the establishment. So there may be certain things that you want to do that the establishment is like, And the first thing that comes to mind is like taxes. Like, so many people don't want to pay their taxes. They don't see the point, but Uncle Sam thinks otherwise. Like, you have to pay your taxes and there are consequences to not paying your taxes. That's the thing with Saturn energy. Saturn energy will always remind you that there are consequences to your actions. So that impulsive, risky Mars energy, what seems good at the time, what feels good at the time, is always going to result in certain consequences. And that Saturn energy is going to remind you of that. So that may be that obstacle, that challenge that prevents you from having what you want or doing what you want to do. Okay. And so it could lead to a lot of pent up anger, not being able to do what you want to do, feeling stifled, feeling blocked, right? It's important that if you do have anger that comes up, that you address it. Either you are direct and you confront either the person or the situation in a healthy way, obviously, or you release that energy via physical exercise or some sort of physical activity. But don't allow that anger to fester, or don't allow yourself to fall into sort of passive aggressiveness or whatever. If something is bothering you, if you're trying to blaze a new trail and you find that there's an obstacle, speak your piece, say what's on your mind, confront the obstacle, confront the person, or address the situation or the issue rather than just holding it in. However, if you cannot address the issue, then find healthy ways to release the energy, okay? But I will say the one sort of positive thing about this transit is that apart from just being about obstacles and challenges, Saturn is also about discipline, diligence, and patience. And I feel like the best way to sort of use this energy is to realize that Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So if you have a desire, if you have something that you really want to do, understand that it's great to have that motivation, but also understand that things take time. And maybe you want to be doing 100. You're like a freight train. You just want to be going forward full steam ahead. Saturn is like, listen, just slow down a little bit. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So temper that excitement, temper that desire to want to go full steam ahead, and just go slowly but surely. You'll get there a little slower, right? You'll get there a little later, but you'll get there nonetheless. And if you infuse discipline, if you infuse diligence, if you infuse patience and determination with that motivation and that desire to just get up and go and blaze a new trail, that will ensure that you get to the finish line. Because trying to go 100 from the starting line can ultimately lead to burnout. And again, what feels good at the time, that same feel good energy, that motivation, it may not last. You may be feeling really excited today, and then tomorrow you're like, it's whatever. Saturn is like, all right, if you really want it, then we need to put a system in place. If you really want it, then we need to devise a plan so that we take action steps every single day. This story is coming to mind, and I'm being urged to share it. So a couple of years ago, I was on like a weight loss journey. And I was someone who was very athletic as a kid. I love to move my body. I love to push the limits to what my body can do. So whenever inevitably I start like a weight loss program or I start working out, I like to do the most. Like I will be in the gym for 2 hours. I will be doing like an hour of cardio, an hour of weight training, like really going hard. But then inevitably the next day I'll be so sore that I won't be able to go back to the gym, and then it just falls by the wayside. So funny story. I want to say maybe about like 10 years ago, I had this friend who had lost a ridiculous amount of weight. And I was like, how did you do it? She said she did this, like, it was like a boot camp style, like workout class. So I go to this class and it's all, the instructors are ex-Marines. So it's like super intense. I mean, you're running up 20 flights of stairs, lifting weights, doing like 50 burpees. It was a lot. But because I had like a sort of athletic background, I was killing it the first day, to the point where people were like, oh my gosh, have you done this before? Like you can really keep up. I'm like, no, this is great. I was so sore after that. When I went to the next class like 3 days later, and I feel so bad about this, I faked an asthma attack so that I could leave class, because I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I cannot sustain this. This is way too hard. So I say all of that to say, do not fake an asthma attack. That's not the way to get out of things. But I also say that to say, don't try to go hard on day one. You have to temper this, baby steps. Like, this whole fitness thing is really what's in my mind, because Aries has a lot to do with fitness. Like, start slow. Start off with 15 minutes of cardio and then build up. Don't be doing an hour and a half on the treadmill and then tomorrow you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Like, that's too much. Don't go hard on day one. Slow and steady wins the race. But this is how this transit is going to work out. So it can be a little frustrating. It can be like someone almost like trying to rain on your parade, especially if it's a male figure or a father figure who's sort of standing in your way of things, right? But again, the best way is to have patience and discipline, and you'll still reach your goal. You're just not going to, do all of it on the same day. All right. What did she say? She said, oh my God, I cackled. I did not expect you to say that. Yeah. Like, I have no shame in my game. Yeah, I faked an asthma attack because I was like, I'm not running up 20 flights of stairs today. Like, this is just too much. It's just too much. But yeah, you don't have to go hard all on day one. Temper yourself and you'll be fine. All right. And then finally, we have the moon moving into Virgo. So, we start off the week with the new moon in Cancer, extremely emotional, all that stuff. Then we move to Leo. It's lighthearted. It's fun. Cool. Now we move into Virgo and things get very like adult-like, right? Virgo tends to, and I'm a Virgo sun, right? But Virgo energy can be very dry. It could be very boring, right? But it's also a great time to get organized, clean up. It's a great time to sort of rethink plans, get health conscious. You guys know how Virgo energy goes. It's a great time. Like, if anything, anything at the very least. I feel like when the moon is in Virgo, it's a great time to just like clean your room. Clean your room, clean the kitchen, make your house look nice, get orderly, get organized, maybe clean your desk off, things like that. Boring kind of stuff, but stuff that is necessary nonetheless. Now, the moon, again, is in the waxing phase. And whenever the moon is waxing in Virgo, it shows us, or it demonstrates to us, it gives us the energy at our disposal to understand that when it comes to working towards the things that we want, we have to have a plan in place. Virgo is all about the details. Virgo is all about organizing. It's like sometimes you got to clean things up. You ever have your workstation just be an absolute mess? I don't know about you, but when my workstation is a mess, I feel like my mind is a mess. When I've got clutter all around me, I feel like my mind is cluttered. And so Virgo energy is like, let's just clean this up. Let's get everything together. Let's get everything organized. When things are organized and efficient, things run better, right? We're coming off that moon in Leo energy that has a lot to do with our inner child. And if you have children, especially if you have like toddlers, you'll know that they are messy, right? Our inner child can be fun. It could be so great, but it can also be messy as fuck, right? Like just doing whatever we want to do, not caring. And then Virgo was like, nah, chill. We can't move forward with this kind of energy. We need things to be a bit organized, orderly. Things need to be in their place, right? And so that's what the moon in Virgo was like. So it reminds us that we need to move forward efficiently and keep things kind of clean, right? Kind of boring, but again, necessary nonetheless. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, then on Friday, we've got another kind of difficult aspect. Sun opposite Pluto, right? So we've got the sun at 29 degrees Cancer. You'll see that at the right-hand portion of the chart. And then you will see Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn. All right. So the reason why this particular transit can be difficult is because we become very cognizant of the things that are not working in our lives. And in doing so, it can kind of be like a I don't want to say a self-identity crisis, but it can feel like our self-esteem takes a hit. We don't quite know where we stand with people. Our relationships can be a little wonky because we're not necessarily seeing ourselves in the best light. It could also be a time where we become very cognizant of any self-destructive behaviors. So I want you to take notice of what I'm saying. I keep using the word self because the sun has a lot to do with ourselves. It has a lot to do with our ego, with our personalities. And whenever we're talking about Pluto, Pluto represents a lot of things that are underneath the surface. Pluto represents a lot of things, but one of the things that Pluto represents is the underworld. It kind of represents the ugly things about life. And particularly with this transit, it sort of shines a light on perhaps the ugly things about ourselves. So it can be a rather difficult transit because it's almost like we come face to face with our demons. We come face to face with our shortcomings. We come face to face with the parts of ourselves that not only we don't like, that perhaps other people don't like as well. So it can be like a blow to your ego in that sense, right? It's almost like a reality check with respect to what you're not doing right, or perhaps bad habits that you still embody. But the good thing, whenever we talk about Pluto, I want you to, whenever you hear the word Pluto, I want you to substitute the word, well, not substitute, but I want you to associate the word transformation with Pluto. Pluto has immense transformative power. So the great part about this particular transit is that it allows us to personally transform. Whenever we are confronted with the not so pleasant side of ourselves, it's not for us to chastise ourselves or feel bad about ourselves. It's to say, okay, listen, maybe I'm not the best with money. Maybe I don't know how to manage my money well, right? What can I do to change that? How can I transform that? How can I become someone who is a good steward of money, right? Or maybe I have commitment issues. I don't know how to be faithful. I don't know how to be faithful in a relationship. I don't know how to commit to the things that I want. What do I need to do to change that? This particular transit is all about change, but it's going to feel unpleasant first. It's going to feel, like I said, like a self-identity crisis, or it's going to feel like, it could be a situation where it's other people that are pointing out your shortcomings. It's other people that are shining a flashlight on the things that not only that you don't like about yourself, but what they don't like about you, right? And so there may be this tendency to point the blame at them or, fight with them about that. And, while that may be sort of your natural inclination, the point of this transit is not to be like, oh, why are you saying that? Or, oh, you say I'm this, but you're that. No, it's really to be like, okay, is this true about myself? Do I really have commitment issues? And if I do, again, how can I change? How can I become someone who doesn't have these issues? How can I become someone who is committed, who sticks to things? You know what I mean? Like, it's really a time where you can seriously make changes in your lives. But again, it's not going to feel good at the outset. You may feel like blaming other people. You may feel like blaming your situation. You may even think that whatever is coming up is not true, whether someone else is pointing it out or a situation is making you really see yourself for who you really are. But again, it's all about personal transformation. So although it's not going to feel good, it can ultimately lead to better things. Okay. And I also have in my notes opportunities for soul evolution. If that's not the most profound kind of transformation, I don't know what is. But again, you have to have the wherewithal and you have to take the initiative to even want to change. Because again, it's so easy to just either ignore it or to just ignore it, to sweep it under the rug or blame somebody else rather than. And it's not to say that you need to internalize everything that everyone says about you, right? Because sometimes people say things that are not true. But when someone says something that's true, you feel it, whether you want to admit it or not. And it's so easy to just either turn the finger at them and say, well, you're like this and that. And that's not what we're here to do. And I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, you're someone who's on your spiritual journey. So you already know the deal. You know that everything is meant for your ultimate good. You can spin absolutely anything into a good situation. Absolutely anything. And the point of this, like I said, it's soul evolution. This is the time for profound change. And profound change usually doesn't feel good, does it? Like, it's not like you wake up one day and you're just like, yes, I'm perfect now. Like overnight, I just became this perfect person. No, it's usually harsh situations, harsh lessons, heartbreak, things like that really change us. So I say that to say that if you're experiencing something that opens your eyes to maybe the parts of yourself that you've been blind to, or the parts of yourself that you don't like, or the parts of yourself that are self-destructive, this is the time for change. Don't ignore it. Lean into it and see how you can truly change your life at this time. All right. Right. So it's Friday. Let's move into Saturday. All right. So on Saturday, we have a new season upon us. The sun will be moving into Leo, and you will see that at the right-hand portion of the chart. The sun is at 0 degrees Leo. We've got Venus going retrograde in Leo as well. So in that large circle, you see Venus, which is in turquoise. That's 28 degrees retrograde. Then we've got the sun newly in Leo, which is going to be square to the North Node newly in Aries, right? You'll see Aries. Well, you see the North Node in Aries, the left-hand portion of the chart. And then we also have Mercury square Chiron. So Mercury is at 21 degrees Leo in that larger circle, and Chiron is at 19 degrees Aries in that smaller circle. All right, so let us discuss what's going on. So first and foremost, Leo season. Really simple. We come from Cancer season, which is emotional, about family, sort of emotionally intense. And now we move on to some more lighthearted energy. Like Leo energy is definitely the quintessential energy of summer. It's lighthearted, it's fun, it's full of entertainment, all that other stuff. It's also a time to shine. Leo season is when you can truly be your unique self. Okay. But it takes courage to do that. And Leo season, and this is always the example that I get whenever I talk about Leo season. It's hot, right? Especially now in the United States, like you have some places that are like 110 degrees every day. It's like boiling hot, right? And it's summer, and maybe you're not feeling the best about your body, right? But it is so damn hot. You can't even put on extra clothes, even if you wanted to. Like you would be sweltering. Having the courage to literally express yourself, like show your skin, is the essence of Leo energy. Like, yes, you're going to stand out, right? But it's all about self-expression. And so Leo season is the perfect time to express yourself, to let your light shine, to roar, to be heard, to be seen, right? And it's no surprise that people love getting into like summer flings and summer romances, because Leo is also the sign of romance. Not to mention that we've got Venus in Leo, but that's a different story. But just Leo generally, whenever the sun is in Leo, like it's prime time for romance. It's prime time for fun. Clearly, summer romances typically only last during the summer, and they tend to be not that serious. But again, that's the essence of Leo. Leo is not that serious. Leo likes to be fun and carefree and childlike, right? Leo season may also put an emphasis on children. So your literal children or issues regarding children, right? But by and large, this is a time to follow your heart, have fun, listen to your inner child, and play. Quintessential summer energy. All right. Then next up, we've got Venus going retrograde. So I have talked about Venus retrograde. Well, I've talked about Venus in Leo plus Venus retrograde since June, right? But Venus is going to be retrograde from July 22nd to September 3rd. So for a good 2 months, well, let me say like a month and a half, Venus is going to go retrograde, okay? So again, this is romantic partners coming back around. It could be romantic issues. And when I say issues, I mean like let's say you constantly attract this same kind of person, the same type, or you typically have the same issue in a relationship. Like let's say there's always issues related to cheating or issues related to codependency. Those issues may come back around even if you are involved with a new person, right? The point of retrograde is to reflect. That's part of what retrograde is about. It's to reflect. And this Venus retrograde, like I can see this going in one of two ways. Like I feel like there's going to be two extremes. I think that people are going to either really start to understand how they're showing up in relationships and really sort of work on that, like work on their relationship issues. So I feel like when retrograde is done, so by the time September, October rolls around, I think that you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be in healthy, balanced relationships. And then I think there are going to be other people who this Venus retrograde cycle is just going to reinforce the fact that they think that all men are dogs or all women are gold diggers. All of those sort of low vibrational relationship things that people tend to think or believe. Venus retrograde is just going to bring that back to you, and you're going to be like, see, I told you all men cheat. See, I told you all women are gold diggers, right? Like you're going to have a whole bunch of people who are going to be in some toxic ass relationships, and I feel like they're going to be even worse because energy is energy. It's all about how you use it. If you are conscious, if you are cognizant, you'll see the pattern. you'll reflect on, oh, okay, you know what? Every single relationship had this issue of codependency. Maybe it's how I'm showing up, or maybe it's the type of situations that I involve myself in. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to involve myself in those type of situations anymore. Or I'm not going to fall for the same type of person anymore, right? That's how you evolve. It's really kind of simple. I mean, the application of it can be kind of, it can be a lot, but the theory is very simple. However, if you're not cognizant, right, and you see the pattern, you take the pattern as that is just how reality is, right? You don't see it as an opportunity for change. You see it as an opportunity to stay the same because that's how things have always been. So again, I feel like you're going to see people desiring and really elevating into better, healthier, balanced relationships, and people still swimming in the cesspool of whatever they were doing before. So you kind of get to decide which you want to be in. And again, this could either play out with a new person or it could play out with someone from the past. Now, keep in mind, Venus going retrograde also can have nothing to do with romantic relationships. In terms of transparency, I had a friendship that ended pretty badly. And as Venus gets closer to going retrograde, this person keeps popping up in my feed. People are like talking to me about this person, and I'm like, damn. Like, I feel like it's time to address this relationship. Now, whether it means that we continue to be friends or not, like, that's kind of immaterial. But the issues present in our friendship kind of have to be addressed. And I feel like Venus retrograde is bringing this back around so that, you resolve these issues. And maybe we will be friends again. Who knows? But the issue, the important thing is that the issues are coming up. Because if I'll say this, and this revelation just came to me. If the issues are present, it doesn't matter who it's present with. Because even if it's present with this one person, if it goes unresolved, you run the risk of that issue playing out with a whole bunch of other people, right? Because relationships are our mirrors. If there is an issue, it's typically something having to do with us. Not to say that something is wrong with you or you're doing something wrong. It's to say that maybe we accept less than what we deserve, or maybe we're insecure or whatever, right? And that issue is not necessarily specific to just one relationship or even one person. When you resolve that issue, you resolve it potentially for all of your relationships. So again, it doesn't matter, like in my case, it doesn't necessarily matter if the person and I actually go back to being friends. We could resolve the issue, go our separate ways and never speak to each other, but the issue is resolved, right? So some of us may be dealing with that during this Venus retrograde. Maybe it's a friendship, maybe it's a business partnership, whatever kind of relationship it is. And you're going to want to look at your chart and see where Leo is in your chart. That'll give you a clue as to what relationship it is. It's the issues. It's the underlying circumstances that may need to be reflected on and addressed. Okay. Now, with Venus being in Leo, one of the issues, right, that may come up is the issue of pride. Leo is a very proud sign. And while pride inherently is not a bad thing, too much of it can really stop you from having genuine relationships, right? Because perfect example, you start dating someone, right? And that nice bubble gum kind of lovey-dovey phase, right? You feel like you want to text this person in the middle of the day, right? It's the middle of the day. Obviously people are working and you're like, I really want to text them. I want to ask them how their day is. But you're like, oh, no, I don't want to come off as needy, or I don't want to come off as too pressed, right? So you don't do it. You let your pride get in the way. Now, that's not to say that that could be detrimental to your relationship. Probably not. But if you allow yourself to get into that prideful place like frequently, then yeah, it's going to prevent you from having like a really dope relationship. So pride may be an issue that comes up. Another issue that comes up is attention. And you are going to see this played out like in various ways, right? But Leo is an attention-seeking kind of sign. Leo likes to be the main character, the star of the show. And in relationships, maybe you've always been that main character to the detriment of your partner. Or maybe you've always been like the supporting actress and you're tired of being the supporting actress, right? It's time to address those issues, that issue of attention. Maybe you're someone who needs to know where your partner is all the time. Or even friends. I'm not even gonna lie. I've had friendships where like they would be texting me all day, like, what are you doing? Where? And I'm like, girl, I'm at work. Like, aren't you? Like, why do you have to know my every move? Okay, maybe that's my issue in relationships. I'm a little detached in that way. But these are the kind of issues that are probably going to come up in your relationships. And again, Venus retrograde is all about reflecting on these and just trying to have the best. Like, we all want dope relationships, right? Like across the board. Nobody wants drama. I think that people crave drama because we've been conditioned to think that drama in relationships is what makes relationships. I'll never forget. I had a friend who said to me, like, if you don't have jealousy in your relationship, then it's like not really a relationship. It's like you don't really care enough. I'm like, what kind of sense does that make? Constant jealousy in a relationship is just unhealthy. Like that's on some toxic shit. But again, those are the type of issues that may be coming up during this Venus retrograde. Because again, we all just want dope relationships. And Venus retrograde just gives us the opportunity to have those if we'll just do the work. If you'll just reflect, if you'll just take a look at yourself and be like, how am I showing up in relationships? And what do I really want? Like, what's really in your heart? I feel like people are so conditioned to play games in relationships, make things unnecessarily difficult, all because they don't want to get their heart broken. And I get it, right? Who wants to have their heart broken? But true love is, and just like dope relationships, it's really about being vulnerable enough to having your heart broken, but trusting and knowing that the person won't actually break your heart, right? People inevitably make mistakes. I'm not talking about that. But having the courage to be truly vulnerable, having the courage to really kind of open your heart fully and accept somebody, and not even accept somebody, allow someone to accept you as well, because it goes both ways. That's what Venus retrograde is going to have us do in a variety of ways, if you will use the energy to your advantage. So you've got the rest of the summer to sort of figure this out. So have fun with it. You don't have to take this so seriously either. This doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, I have to do so much inner work. I really have to like channel my inner child and all this. No, like you'll know when that person comes back around. You'll be like, oh yeah, this person's calling me, or this person wants to rekindle. This was the issue that we had. Maybe this is the issue that I need to be working on right now. Or you meet someone new and your insecurities come up. You're like, okay, I get it. Like that's what I need to work on. Don't overthink this. Don't make it unduly difficult. Like whatever comes up, just work on it and keep it moving. All right. But that's Venus retrograde in a nutshell. So then we've got the sun. Where are we? We've got the sun square the north node. So whenever we have the north node, right, this is all about where we need to go. And again, the sun, it's like we're conscious of where we need to go. However, because it's a square, it's like knowing where you need to go, but not necessarily feeling like you want to go there. Like it's understanding. Okay, I don't know why I keep getting these physical fitness things, but that's just where that's just, you know, the examples I keep getting. Knowing that you want to lose a certain amount of weight, right? Or maybe you have to lose weight for health reasons. Sun square north node is like, okay, I know that my sugar levels are kind of high. I may be pre-diabetic, so I know that I need to lose weight. And understanding that you have to cut back on sugar. Maybe you need to cut back on carbs. You need to drink more water. You need to exercise more, like move your body at least 3 or 4 times a week. Like you kind of don't want to move out of your comfort zone. You're like, I know I have to do this, but I kind of don't want to. It's daunting. It's too much. I just want to be comfortable. Like that's sort of how this particular transit is going to work out. Like But there's also this feeling of, okay, I know I need to do this. There's a sense of urgency to achieve this thing. There's a sense of urgency with respect to doing whatever it is that you're being called to do right now, but not really wanting to get out of your comfort zone. Okay. Or just being very resistant to change for whatever reason. Maybe you are fearful. Maybe you are feeling like, maybe you're feeling lazy. Maybe you're just scared, right? But this is sort of how this is going to play out. Knowing that you have to do something, but not really wanting to take the initiative to do it. And for some, this may have a lot to do with your purpose or your soul mission. And I said fearful intentionally because sometimes the things that we need to do require us to expand in a way that's very uncomfortable. Or maybe we're fearful of changing who we are. But inevitably, you're going to have to do it at some point or another. But I just feel like there's going to be this tension between staying complacent and expanding and going to where you need to go. So that's pretty much the Sun square the North Node in a nutshell. And then finally on Saturday, we've got Mercury square Chiron. Now, this is interesting because last week we had a Mercury Chiron transit, I believe. It was either last week or the week before. And it was like wanting to tell your testimony without sort of being ready, right? It's one of those situations where you still have more to learn, but you want to start teaching people, right? Sort of so it's along the same lines, but now it's almost like now is the time. Now's the time to tell your testimony. Between last week or whatever, the week before, there's probably an important lesson that you learned, or you've probably completed a cycle with respect to some sort of healing. Now's the time to be vocal about it. Now's the time to teach people. Now is the time to really give your testimony. You may even find that certain situations are sort of pushing you to give your testimony. Maybe it's pushing you to be more vulnerable. It's pushing you to be more vocal in a way that's sort of effortless. You're not going to feel resistant or hesitant. It's almost like you're going to feel ready, willing, and able to give your story, give your testimony on the healing that you've accomplished or what you've learned throughout your healing, right? So I think it's a great transit to tell your story and allow people to learn from your journey. All right. So let's go on Saturday. Let's move on to Sunday. All right. And then on Sunday, we've got Mercury square Uranus, and we have the moon moving into Libra. So Mercury is at 22 degrees Leo, and we've got Uranus at 22 degrees Taurus. And then we have the moon moving into Libra. All right. So Mercury square Uranus, okay? This is going to be receiving news that may be surprising, maybe a little unsettling. It's one of those transits where it may be hard to concentrate. It may be hard to sort of keep your focus on anything for a prolonged period of time. But it can also be pretty exciting, right? It could be one of those things where, you know, especially if you're stuck in a rut or if you're stuck in a routine, you may have some news that, although it's unsettling, it kind of gets you out of your comfort zone a little bit. But it's not the best transit for getting any detailed work done because it's like shiny object syndrome. Like you can't focus. You're constantly looking at the next new shiny thing. Okay. But by and large, expect the unexpected with respect to Mercury square Uranus. And by unexpected, I mean like unexpected news, unexpected advice, something maybe a little startling, again, could be a little upsetting, but in any event, it's good to help you get out of your comfort zone and help get you unstuck, okay? And then finally, we have the moon moving into Libra. So this is, you know, Libra loves socializing. So whenever the moon is in Libra, it's great for socializing. It's great for working on things with people. Libra is all about partnership. It's all about relationships. So when the moon is in Libra, we do partnership and relationship kind of things. It's great for teamwork, cooperation, group activities, anything like that. And because the moon is waxing, whenever the moon is waxing in Libra, it reminds us that wherever we're trying to go, sometimes we need help. No man is an island. And a lot of times working with others can help us get our goals faster and help us go farther. All right. So while the moon is in Libra, socialize, work with people, and most importantly, have fun. All right. So that's basically the week in a nutshell. Like I said, lots going on. Lots going on. All right. So now we're going to get into the messages from Spirit. I'll be pulling cards for each sign. As always, I do these by sign. However, whatever message resonates for you is for you. All right. So let us begin with Aries. Let's see what we have for Aries for this week. All right, Aries, we have the World. You also have another card. Okay. We also have the Death card. So we've got the Death card and the World card. Aries, you have completed a cycle. And this cycle that you've completed is like you cannot go back. The Death card is like permanent, right? Something has permanently ended, okay? It's permanently ended, and now you've graduated. Whatever you're leaving behind, it was probably kind of difficult, and you most likely learned a lot from it. It's almost like you went through a school year that was very challenging. The coursework was challenging. The tests were difficult, but you finally passed, right? And so you no longer have to repeat that grade or repeat those lessons. It is a situation where you've elevated, you've graduated. Okay. So whatever you're leaving behind, I'm getting the sense that you're going to have to mourn it, perhaps. Like going to the next level may not necessarily feel that great. And you might even miss what you're leaving behind, but understand that you are moving on to bigger and better things. Okay. So mourn what you're losing, but keep your eye to the future because what is coming is going to be really great. Okay. Next up, we've got Taurus. All right, Taurus, we've got the Hierophant. I'm hearing a test of faith. There's something that you need to have faith in at this time. Okay. It's almost like wanting something, realizing that realizing that it's not difficult, or realizing that you don't currently have it, and then being like, oh, I don't know if I'm ever going to have this. And Spirit is like, where is your faith? Have faith in the unseen. Have faith in the things that you want. They are indeed coming, but your faith may be tested this week. Yeah, your faith may be tested this week. And it's almost like Spirit wants to see how you really feel about this thing. Spirit wants to see how you really feel about this thing. Are you as committed to it as you say that you are? Or are you willing to fold when things get difficult? All right. So in any event, Taurus, this week is about keeping the faith. Okay. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for this week. All right, Gemini, we've got the Page of Wands. So I'm getting that some exciting news is coming into you this week, something that you're passionate about. You may hear of an opportunity. I'm hearing like an opportunity to apply for something that you really like or that you really want to do, but it's news of an exciting nature. And again, I feel like it has something to do with something that you truly want. I keep hearing application. I don't know if it's applying for a program, applying for like a show or something like that. But in any event, there's going to be an opportunity to apply for something that you really want. And I think that you should definitely take advantage of this particular instance. I feel you might want to check to see where Aries is in your chart. I think that it might have to do with that, like that area of life, right? Maybe like, let's say Aries is your 7th house. I feel like this is you like shooting your shot to someone that you really like or that you've had a crush on. Or maybe if Aries is your 2nd house, it's almost like applying for a business grant or applying for a pitch competition, right? So that you can get more money. So yeah, there's going to be the opportunity to take action. You're going to hear of exciting news of an opportunity that comes up, and it's going to be something that you like and that you should take action toward. Okay? Hopefully that made sense. Next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we've got for Cancer. for this week. All right, Cancer, we have the Tower. So something unexpected is going to happen this week. Now, I get this sense that, so whenever you have the Tower card, the Tower is, as you can see, these people are being thrown from the tower. Whatever is not built on solid ground, whatever is not of your highest good may be falling apart, okay? Or maybe ending suddenly, a sudden sort of ending. But I'm hearing that it's going to feel like a relief to you. Like, although it's either inconvenient or sad that this thing is ending, I feel like ultimately you're going to feel a sense of relief. And it's going to open up the space for you to do something else. So I'm getting the sense that whatever is ending, whatever this Tower moment is something that you feel either obligated to or you don't necessarily like that much. And by this Tower moment happening, again, is going to open up the opportunity for you to do what you actually want to do rather than what you have to do. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. Next up, we've got Leo. Let's see what we've got for Leo for this week. Leo, we've got the Hermit card. And we've also got the Ace of Wands. Leo, it's interesting. I think I got this message for you last week or the week before. You guys are characteristically quiet right now. Some of you are working by yourselves. I see someone like tinkering in a cave, like working on something, creating something. So I see that you're not necessarily like really out there. You're not socializing as much. You're not really in the fold and out and about right now. I see that you're kind of hanging back, chilling by yourself and tinkering at something that you're really passionate about. For some, I'm hearing it's like you're starting a business and you're really just hunkering down and getting, all of the necessary things together. For others, I'm hearing that it's like some sort of a hobby that just makes you feel good and you kind of just want to be alone doing your thing. But I see more of that going on this week. So if it makes you happy, keep on doing it. You don't feel like you have to be out and about. Don't feel like you have to be all up in people's faces just for the sake of it. If there's something that you really want to do, maybe it really is the time for you to just hang back and just do it. Spend some alone time and just do what you're passionate about. Okay. Next up, we've got Virgo. All right, Virgo, we've got the Ten of Swords. Something is finally done. And this thing that's done, it's like, I know the depiction on this card is kind of crazy, right? I think that you felt like this thing was going to kill you. Like you felt, it's almost like you were very fearful about the situation. Perhaps it has to do with your reputation. Perhaps it's some undertaking that you were trying to do and all you could think about were the negative things that were going to happen. This thing is finally done. And the thing is, none of these things happened. I think it's like your fear was bigger than, it's almost like your fear didn't allow you to see the fact that the situation was not as bad as you thought it was going to be. But the good thing is this situation is over. So you don't have to hold on to that fear anymore. Whether this thing was a success or not, Spirit is saying like that's sort of immaterial. The fact is that what you were afraid of did not happen. Or it did not happen to the extent that you thought it was going to happen. And so now things can only get better because you're able to put this whole situation behind you. Okay. So the thing that Spirit really wants to impart on you is that do not take these. It's like, don't take all this fear and bring it onto the next situation. Like, don't do that. This situation, it's done. It's over. It wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Point blank, period. All right. Okay. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we have for Libra for this week. All right, Libra, we've got Temperance. So you are being urged to practice moderation this week. You know how I was saying before, like, especially if you're trying to start something new, don't go super hard on day one, right? There's something about easing into this situation that spirit wants you to do at this time. I get this sense that you are overly excited about something and you just want to dive in head first. And spirit is like, I really want this thing for you, but if you dive in head first, you definitely might get burnt out very quickly. So now is the time to practice moderation. Put one foot in front of the other and just keep going. I'm also getting that there's some sort of alchemy that needs to take place here. You know how when you are like baking or cooking and you have to add eggs to like a hot mixture, you add it very slowly so that the eggs don't like cook, right? You have to temper the eggs. You have to add it in slowly. So spirit is like, just slow down a bit. Spirit is also saying like the reason for you to slow down is so that you don't miss any steps. So now's the time to be intentional, but don't go full force at once. Don't like do the most right now. This situation requires moderation, and it really requires you to take things slowly and be very intentional. Okay. So next up, we've got Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio for this week. All right, Scorpio. This is nice. You've got the 9 of Cups. So you guys are feeling very fulfilled. Something that you really wanted is coming to fruition. I feel like this is going to be a week where you feel really good. You feel fulfilled. You are just satisfied. I'm hearing satisfied by a job well done. So something you've been working on is coming to fruition, and it's almost like you're getting the return on your investment. So for some, this could be money coming in. For others, it's just like the satisfaction of a job well done. Let's say you've got a business and you've implemented something new. You're starting to see money come in from this new thing. And again, it's a return on your investment and you're just satisfied. You're satisfied, you're emotionally fulfilled, and you're just feeling good. So just enjoy it. Okay. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. Let's see what we've got for Sagittarius. Okay, Sag, we've got the King of Wands. We also have the Moon. Okay, you guys are feeling exceptionally passionate about something right now, but you're feeling so passionate that it's like you're scared. There's something that you really want. You've got your eye on, like you are just so... I can't even think of the word right now, but you're really passionate about something, but that passion can also turn to fear very quickly. It's almost like wanting something, but feeling like it's out of your reach. Wanting something, but feeling like it's too much. Maybe you're asking too much. Maybe it's too daunting of a task to get this thing. And Spirit is like, feel the fear and go for it anyway. Like the fear is really just a testament to how much you really want this thing. And so don't allow the fear to psych you out. Don't allow the fear to cloud your vision. Don't allow the fear to water down your passion either. As passionate as you are, you don't deny yourself what you truly want out of fear, essentially. Okay, so feel the fear, do it anyway, go after it. All right, channel that passion into determination, into motivation, and just go out there and get what it is that you want. Okay. Then next up, we've got Capricorn. All right, Capricorn, we've got the King of Cups. So you guys have your emotions in check this week, but it's also to say that I think this is going to be an emotional week for you. There may be a lot of things going on in your immediate environment that like trigger you or that bring up an emotional response or that make you feel a lot of things. But I do see you able to successfully master your emotions this week. And Spirit is like, I want you to understand the difference between mastering your emotions and masking your emotions. Mastering your emotions is when you feel your emotions and you healthily process them. and you don't let yourself be swayed by everything that's going on. Masking your emotions is not addressing your emotions at all and acting like everything is okay. You are to do the former, not the latter. So in mastering your emotions, you're going to have to feel them. Don't just ignore them. Just don't throw them by the wayside. Feel them, but process them healthily. And that's what's going to help you get through this week, because I do feel like this is going to be a very emotional week, but I feel like you have the power within you to overcome whatever comes up. Okay. And next up, we've got Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, we've got the 5 of Cups and we've got the 4 of Pentacles. You guys are holding on to some serious regret, some serious sadness. There could be a particular situation that didn't work out the way that you wanted to, and you're just holding on to that disappointment. You're holding on to it like almost as if it's valuable to you. I'm hearing like you want to hold on to it so that you remember, so that you don't forget how that situation made you feel. And while I kind of understand that, it's also like holding on to disappointment only helps to hurt you further. And it sort of derails you from anything else that you really want to do. So holding on to this disappointment, this regret, this sadness, it's only hurting you further. So it's time to let this go. Like some of you have like a death grip on this. Like you really want to, I keep hearing like, I just don't want to forget. I don't want to forget this thing. It's like, well, why do you want to keep remembering that disappointment? I'm seeing this disappointment. It's even festering into other things. It's just really not healthy to hold on to it. You can hold on to the lesson that you learned, but not the actual disappointment. It's time to let that disappointment go. It's time to let that sadness go once and for all. So I think that this week is also going to be a very emotional week for you. It may also be very trying because, again, you're holding on to this thing and maybe you're trying to let go of it, but it's got such a strong grip on you, or you've got such a strong grip on it, that it may be kind of difficult to really let this go. But I think that this is the week that you really need to start working toward letting it go, because again, I feel like whatever this disappointment, this sadness, this regret that you're holding on to, it's really only hurting you and hurting future situations. So Aquarius, you've got some work to do this week, okay? Take it in stride though. And last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. Let's see what we've got for Pisces for this week. All right, Pisces, we've got this King of Wands. Pisces, there is a King of Wands that is like looking at you. This is someone who wants to start something with you. This could be like, it could be romantic. So this is someone who desires you perhaps. But I also see this in like the business sense, like someone who's interested in your skills, someone who's interested in what you have to offer, like work-wise. So if you're like looking for a new job, this is someone who like is interested in what you have to offer. In your current job, I think that people may be noticing like your value, what you bring to the table. I think that some sort of action is going to be taken in the near future. So again, it could be like more responsibilities at work. It could be a new job. Someone could finally like ask you out on a date or something like that. But someone is looking at you with interest and looking to take action toward you in some way. And I think it's a good thing. Okay. So if an opportunity arises, you may want to really take advantage of it, because I think that it's going to be worth your while. All right. All right, my loves. So that concludes this edition of the weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this week. All right. If you would like information on my products and services, all of that stuff will be linked down below. That's pretty much it. So again, happy new moon in Cancer. I wish you guys nothing but the best for this upcoming week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in my next video. All right, my loves.